Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of 10 Minutes with. And today it is a family affair. I've got the entire Molina family with me live, and including Dad, who is on military service. So welcome to the show, guys.
Hi everyone.
Hi, nice to be here.
Hi.
So this has been something that we've been chasing for a while. And just like a lot of people out there, you guys are the typical martial arts family. You've got two kids in, and you guys travel out and do tournaments. I got to ask, Mom and Dad, when we take it back to the beginning, when did you think about like, hey, you know what, this will be something good for our kids? And also there's this national tournament circuit where we go travel on. What was the decision made, like, to go in places like Atlanta, Orlando, Minnesota, etc., to have your kids not only perform and compete?
So it's 2012,
Mhm.
and I'm a close quarter combatives instructor for the Army. And
Okay.
Priscilla and I are having a talk. We have Cody now, little baby. She's growing. She wants to put Cody in cheerleading. I'm like, cheerleading and gymnastics. How's that going to defend her and protect her when she gets to college one day? So the compromise was, okay, we'll do Taekwondo 2 days a week, and she can do tumbling 2 days a week. Well, by the time she was 4, she had that first tournament. She was hooked. Then 2 days a week turned into 4, turned into 5, turned into, hey, let's go to this tournament, turned into the ATA circuit, turned into NASCA circuit, turned into ProMac, turned into promoter. So that is a short sample of how we all started. And then Michael, he just popped out with sparring gear and ready to go from the day he was born. So,
It sounds easy, but it's like, man, a lot of people do this and they discover it their own. Mom, I got to ask you, what are some of the tips you found from traveling with two kids, going to different cities to compete? What would you like to tell someone that's considering doing this for their son, daughter, or maybe a couple sons and a couple daughters? Do you have any tips for them?
I have a lot of tips. Leave the husband in charge. Leave one parent in charge of everything, because we have forgotten underwear. We have forgotten weapons. We have forgotten, hair stuff. I mean, having this one with curling irons and hair products and rubber bands to makeup, to this one wearing the same shirt for 2 days. Again, you can see that, high maintenance versus low. But now that I'm on my own, I actually took Michael to his first tournament without Andy. We got down the road and I realized I forgot the bow staff. So we turned around, went back to, it was so stressful. And that day he competed when I was judging. And again, he finished competing, and usually Dad's there to make sure he takes off his uniform, puts his belt away, puts his weapon away. I didn't do that. And he came to me, he says, Mom, I don't think I can compete later on for Grands. I go, what happened? Are you hurt? What? Tell me. He goes, look at my pants. He had gum on both his pant leg. And I'm going, what do I do? And I'm in the middle of judging sparring, and I said, go to the bar in the hotel, get me a cup of ice. I let the ice sit on that for about 4 hours, and the gum came off. But my husband is the man. He knows what to pack, how to pack. He could do it in less than 2 hours in the morning, the day of. So, Dad, you want to take over that one?
well, so Mom has the tips. You know what? She's right. So you got that part about, hey, you gotta break it down and compartmentalize what you're doing with the kids. I mean, even when we go to the rings, I mean, from when we started when we were young, hey, I'm with Cody at all times. Well, here comes Michael now. He needs a parent. All right, Priscilla, you go. But you've seen as we've transitioned more towards, more as promoters. You see Priscilla more and more at those the NASCA tournaments and those rings, judging the black belts. And now we don't have someone to go with Michael to make sure everything's organized, or with Cody. And then now that I'm gone, this has really it's been difficult, because again, we've had him, we've been with him from the very beginning. So the biggest tips, this is my big tip: teach your kids to be able to do things for themselves. And if you do that, at the end of the day, it might be okay. However, we've also been ringside many times where we've seen kids by themselves without their parents. And hey, we're the first ones, Priscilla and I, to volunteer to help them with their radio, with their, I don't know how many belts I've tied or tightened for other competitors in Cody's rings, dating back to when she was 8 years old, competing in that 9 and under division. Or even helping another someone at Michael's ring, hey, with their pants backwards. We've seen that. and I'll step up and help them out. Hey, your pants are backwards, young man. Maybe take a time, talk to the judge, center judge. Hey, can we get a break? But it's just that.
Well,
It's a
one of the
group effort,
things,
especially for those that travel the circuit. You know how it is.
I will definitely agree with you on that. That it is out there in the circuit is really like an entire family.
Yeah.
There are people that you can name, you can think of right now. Oh my gosh, I left my belt. I need to get a belt. I need to get sparring gear. I need to get something. And they're the next parent's over. And the interesting thing is that most people understand this, that your kids are probably competing together. They're probably the same age. They might be in the same division, but it's really like a big family. And that's the great thing that is about the circuit. And one thing I want to definitely mention right before we get to these wonderful kids that we're talking about is, Andy, let's explain to everyone why you're away. Like, you're not in the family picture, where you're at, what you do, so that we can tell everybody, what's actually going on.
So I am in the U.S. Army. I'm currently deployed. It is a CONUS deployment, so I'm not currently in the sandbox. I am a strategic planner for the U.S. government and the military intelligence operations. So again, hey, things have changed, a little more dynamic. Technology makes it easier. I will tell you this. My last 2 deployments, we did not have this, okay? Prior to this one, we're not able to get online, go to Zoom, be able to do a live broadcast. So that has made it a little bit easier for us as a family. I can see them at night. I can talk to them. I can watch, like today, Michael had a football game. I was able to watch his football game on FaceTime. That was not the case when we were in Afghanistan. My last 2 rotations, you could not do that. I talked to my family maybe once a month, if that. And then snail mail letters and envelopes. Now, again, we're on Amazon, right? We have Amazon where we can ship stuff to the house. Just sent y'all a present. That kind of stuff. It has changed, but yeah, the dynamic is different. This should be my last one before I hit my retirement. So, family supportive. They've been, my first deployment was when Cody wasn't even born yet. Priscilla and I had just gotten together, and Cody wasn't even born. My first time out of the family rotation. So they've kind of grown up with, this is what they know. But hopefully it preps them for college and their own military careers one day if they choose to go down that path.
We definitely thank you for your service. And it is the amazing ability and the self-sacrifice that military families show day by day is absolutely incredible. I think that you have to be part of that experience to really understand that. Speaking of understanding that, going to the kids, we'll go to Cody first. Cody, you're doing a billion things. I mean, you got karate going on. You got wrestling. We got cheering. We got lacrosse. Maybe world domination in the future. I don't know. But that's to come. But I have to ask, taking the karate side, because we're definitely going to get that. You wrestled. What was it like going into a sport that's completely different than what you have known?
Well, I remember my very first wrestling match at a tournament. The stance is it's different than a sparring stance. In sparring, I have my guard up like this.
Mm-hmm.
In wrestling, it's supposed to be in tight, right? Well, I stopped. I forgot to think about that. I was thinking of what to do, and I started turning my body and started a little hop going on. And then my coach was like, "I don't know who taught you that," and I was like, "My bad, wrong sport." So it was definitely different, but again, with the more practice I got, the better things got for me, and the easier things got for me. But it's a really intense sport. I will say that.
It's not for everybody.
It's not fair. No.
And I was going to say these things, karate and wrestling, there is a correlation there. Both combative sports. Then we go to cheerleading. A little bit different. But how did you adjust to that? From being a martial artist, from being, starting wrestling and everything, now you're in a cheer. Tell me about that. How you got into it? How did you like it?
Well, I remember I was in 7th grade, and I heard about they were having tryouts that year. And then I mentioned something to my mom about tryouts. She was like, and she thought I was joking. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at first, it was just kind of up in the air. And then about a week and a half before, I was like, I actually want to try out. Why not? Let's have fun.
I didn't help her. I didn't want her to make the squad.
She didn't help me.
I did not want her to take time away from her martial arts. So
to add something else onto your already busy schedule.
If you want to do it, you figure it out. I'm not going to help you. I used to coach competitive cheer. So my background in cheer has helped me with their martial arts when it comes to the eye, the lines, the sharpness, the technique and whatnot. So continue.
So yeah, I made the team 7th grade. I had a great year. 8th grade came around. I was like, try out again. And then this year, my freshman year, I was like, you know what? This is gonna be a tough tryout, but I think I got this, and made the team. And then we had tryouts for next year, and I was able to make varsity cheer. So I'll be a varsity cheerleader next year, which is exciting. And I think just I'm a smiley person, very like a loud person and exciting. So that fit perfectly right into cheer.
Well, going back to something with a little more contact, now you got lacrosse on as well. You got to explain that to me, because I've seen lacrosse and it's, there's a bit of contact there.
Mm-hmm. So I remember so Courtney and Kaylee Kakak, they were on the NASCA circuit a while back, and they did lacrosse. And then I believe my dad and her dad talked about it. And then one did a little camp locally, and I went and tried the camp out. I had a good time. Then I joined my high school team, not my own high school because we don't have a lacrosse team, so a different one. And I went to the first practice, and I loved it since. It's just a fun sport. I enjoy it so much, and we go to state next weekend. So,
hey, you best of luck for that future state, which leads us, of course, to Mr. Showman himself, as quoted by Joe Perry at the the Warrior Cup. Mr. Showman himself, Michael, you have been on, I didn't know this actually before, you've been on America's Got Talent. You're doing acting auditions in addition to martial arts. I have to say that every time that I do see you and I'm calling a nighttime show, you do bring such a stage presence to be so young. How is all that going? First, tell me about America's Got Talent. What was your experience like there?
I think it was really good because I just like being a showman, and AGT, a million people watching. I definitely had butterflies in my stomach walking on that stage. I thought I was going to drop in front of a million people, but I stuck with my gut, and I tossed my bow there, and I caught each trick. And the audition was really tough. I thought I wasn't going to make it because we had a demo team of Victory, my nearby school, ATA school, and they wouldn't, or people wanted me to try out for the actual AGT, and I was like so stoked about it because I didn't know what it felt like. And then I made it. And I was so stoked.
So you're also going out and doing auditions now and acting. What is your perfect, let's say, for example, if I could ask you to look into the future 3 years from now, in terms of acting, in terms of maybe commercials, acting, maybe even plays, whatever floats your boat, if you could pick the perfect place for you to be, where would it be in about 3 years from now?
Playing the role of Spider-Man.
I like that. That you've got so many resources here from people that have gone on. There's, just name them. There's one of my guys, Ross Constant. There's John Valera, old school guy. There's Arnold Chung. There's so much support that you can have out there for people that are out there actually doing this. And I think that it's actually a good idea. Hopefully some of those guys, if you ever reached out to them, they would reach back and say, hey, you know what can I tell you? Who can I tell you to call and everything? But I would love to see you as Spider-Man. I think that would be absolutely cool. Well, guys, this has been a great conversation. Where are we going to see you next?
Battle of Atlanta.
Battle of Atlanta coming up soon. And before we go, I want to ask one other question to Andy. Explain to me, you're a close quarters combat instructor. Please, for those who don't know, explain what that is.
So there's two types. There's a type where you're using weapons, whether it's knife fighting, you have your M4 carbine, kitty cat barrel, small, different type of technique for small barrels, long barrels. However, this was combatives hand to hand. So when you're out of bullets, you're out of weapons, you no longer have a knife. That's what I ended up teaching. It's the close quarter combatives, hand to hand combat. When it's designed to create neural patterns. So when you have muscle failure 3 hours in, you can still react. Your muscle memory kicks in. It was that kind of combative to the point where you were just you're beaten up 3 hours in, and then you start training after that. After a couple of folks have vomited a couple of times, and you just keep going and going and going. Yeah, I mean, those days I like to say are I've kind of hung those up, and now we're using this. The body can only handle so much. But yeah, that was pretty much it. That was last time I think I ended up actually going through that rotation and teaching that as a close quarter combatives. But that was more of the hand-to-hand part. Yes, we still did knife fighting, but it's hand-to-hand. At some point, we all run out of bullets, right?
Yeah, there's only so many bullets, but you got these all the time.
Right.
Well, guys, I certainly appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you out there on the circuit. Guys, definitely, I think we should have more martial arts families on here because there's a story to everybody, how they got here, how they're doing. And we also know how to get gum out of gi pants now.
Yes.
Thanks, Mom. We certainly appreciate that. Well, guys, we'll be back with another interview soon.